Hello, hello. Welcome to the live stream today. Wishing, hoping, trying. Does it work to get your ex back? Because this comes up a lot. So I'm going to type this in for everyone. Wishing, hoping, and trying to get your ex back. And I come back to this a lot. A lot. Because wishing, hoping, and trying to get your ex back, a lot of times people, that's what you're doing. You're saying, like, well, if I do this and I do that, and I'll try this and I try that. Wishing, hoping, and trying to get your ex back. And does it work? Does any of this work? And I'll talk about this more when we get a few more people on deck. Whoever's on there, thank you for coming. But wishing, hoping, and trying to get your ex back is what a lot of people are doing when they get desperate, when they get needy, they get superstitious. I've seen that many times. They get suspicious. They look into different things. So, wishing, hoping, and trying to get your ex back is something that comes up again and again and again and again. And so, I had some things written out and I'll go into them. So, right off the bat here, sorry for the delay. The problem with hoping, wishing, and trying to get your ex back, it doesn't work. It puts you in a needy state. It lacks action and fixates on chance. It also creates false hope and even superstitions. So what happens is when you get caught in this hoping and wishing, you just lack action, and it's like blowing out the candles on your cake and going, "Oh, I wish my ex comes back." What if you do the reverse or opposite? You accept the breakup as if she's never coming back, and at this point, you don't want her back. What if you did that approach, right? What if you said to yourself, okay, instead of me wishing, hoping, and trying, what's the opposite of wishing, hoping, and trying? Maybe accepting the breakup, going all in on no contact, and saying to yourself, okay, I'm no longer going to sit here and go, well, I hope they come back. I hope they come to their senses. And so many times people go, I've been in no contact for 30 days or 40 days, and still nothing's happening. That's hoping and wishing. That's not being actively involved in the process of moving forward. And that's my point. So the opposite of hoping is probably taking action, right? The opposite of trying is actually committed to doing something. Ask yourself who you are and what you're capable of. Where is your power? What are some possible solutions? Are you trying to do something that lacks results? So you've been trying to do the same thing over and over again, like call her or give her a like on social media or give him a like on social media, and it's not really working. So you have to reassess when you're trying something. Is this stuff even working? Um, what would be the wishing? Make a wish. How many times have your wishes came true in your life? How many times have you really wished for something and it came true? I've had things in my life that I've wanted to have happen in life, and it happened for me. Call it manifesting, call it the secret, but actually making a wish and it working, wishing and hoping actually working long term, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's realistic. And the opposite, like I said, is taking action, looking for solutions, doing things that might work. So I'll talk about this in another video. I have some stories related to this. Um, but what I would say that sometimes does work is trying. So trying to get your ex back, trying different things, being in their orbit, being someone that's around. And what I would say to this is that people that generally do this, that let's say that they actually stay in contact with their ex, they call their ex, they let them know how they're doing, they keep them on social media, and they're okay with it, right? Because their ex is with, let's just give an example of a situation I've been through, and I'll talk about this in another video that's not on a live stream. But I was in a situation where I'd been with a girlfriend for a long time, for a couple of years, and she had an ex that contacted her off and on sporadically, and he lived in another state. And they had a really bad relationship towards the end. They had a lot of layers of crap, and they didn't get along. Um, and he every once in a while he would text or call and say, "Hey, how are you doing? I miss you so much." And she would tell me about it, and I think, God, this guy's kind of pathetic. She's been with me for over a year and he's still calling up. But he wouldn't do it like every day. It would be like once every 2 months or once every month. And he'd say how much he missed her and this and that. And all the while, like, she's with someone else. So some people would think, like, well, why didn't you get on the phone or call him up? I didn't know this guy. I kind of felt sorry for him in some ways because I thought it was pretty pathetic. But then fast forward to the time that we actually broke up, and she ended up going back to that guy within a week. So what happened in that case, it wasn't so much that this guy did everything right, but he was in a position where he was accessible, he was available, he was still single, and he had let her know that he was waiting in the wings if anything went wrong. And she wasn't willing to deal with our breakup up front, and she wanted to stopgap the pain. So she met up with him immediately afterwards. I think within a month later, she told me that they were talking again. And I was in contact with her after the breakup because we were on good terms. But I was actually really, really surprised by her going back to this guy that they had a really bad relationship. So this guy, he had tried, he had put in the effort, he had stayed in her orbit, he had stuck around, and it worked for him. And I mean, it took a year and a half or 2 years and another boyfriend in his place, which I don't know how that's compounded with him. I don't know if that really upset him or he was able to deal with that. But over time, it worked for him because he kept trying. He kept trying at it. So that was one case. Some people say, "Oh, wow, he got her back." Well, I mean, a year and a half later, and her having another boyfriend that she was seeing and hooking up with, and then you wait in the wings for a weak moment. You can do that. I've seen one other case where close friend, she broke up with her boyfriend and got a new boyfriend. Basically, broke up, started seeing someone new. I don't know, within a month, 2 months. Really, really liked the guy. Was all in. And of course, the ex-boyfriend was still in the orbit, still hanging around, still being available, still calling her up, still being needy. And she was friendly with him, but he didn't go like all in on no contact and whatnot. And she was really happy with her new boyfriend. The guy was the direct opposite of her current boyfriend. And she was excited to be with this guy. So on that, on that move, eventually out of nowhere she broke up with this new boyfriend. So they were like 3 or 5 months in and they broke up. It shocked her because she thought this is a great relationship, everything's going right, and it hurt her, it crushed her. Immediately went back to the ex-boyfriend that she had been with for 3 or 4 years, just for security reasons, I believe. And the guy was willing and waiting, and he was available. And so, of course, he had issues afterwards that she had hooked up with someone else and been with someone else. But the point was, they were together now. So he had waited in the wings. He had been available. He had showed her that he wasn't going to leave her side, even though she was with someone new. And it worked out that he got his ex back. But at the same time, I mean, don't you always have a bad taste in your mouth that you got left and she had been hooking up with someone else and you weren't? So that's another case where he was trying, he's putting in effort, he was actually putting in work, and it came back in a vulnerable way. So, do we have one more? Yes, we do have one more. Let me get this. Okay, so last story here of trying. The Excuse me. In this particular case, the individual was with a new guy. This is another woman that I knew that I used to work with. So she had I think it was a 4 or 5 year relationship, 4 year relationship. And before she got into this relationship, I worked with her and we went out a few times, Nothing made of it. I was seeing a couple other girlfriends at the girlfriends, a couple other girls at the time dating, and we worked together, so it was kind of casual. And she ended up starting this 4-year relationship with this guy, but we always had a good spark. We always were really cool. And so I had moved back into town, the town I grew up in, or the area I grew up in. Not the town; it's not that small, more like a city. And she called me up out of the blue. She wanted to meet up for lunch. I was like, "Oh yeah, I haven't heard from you for 3.5, 4 years, whatever it was." And immediately went into her breakup and what happened. And she had just broken up with this guy 2 weeks earlier. Wasn't highly dramatified, but it was just like, "Oh wow, sorry to hear that." Da, da, da. He left her for his ex girlfriend. That he had left his ex girlfriend to go with her, and then 4 years later left her to go back to the ex. If you follow that. So when she saw me, she was like, "Let's go out. I haven't been out with someone." And she's like, "Do you have a girlfriend right now?" She wanted to go 0 to 100, and she wanted to get back with me. I don't know if she was trying to get back with the ex. And I hadn't really been putting in an effort, but there was some residue. I was available after the breakup. And this is what I'm saying is, if a lot of times, if you want to make yourself visible or available to someone after a breakup, it can work out for you. So I'm going to end this right now.